And our prediction came true. Keyshawn Davis is now the official new champion at 135, dethroning Denys Berinchyk.
He put everybody at 135 and I think at 140 on notice. 14 fights in and he's already at the elite level.
I think Keyshawn and Loma would be a great fight.
I think he beats Loma easy.
You think he stops him just like Berinchyk?
The big rematch at 175 for undisputed. Artur Beterbiev as he takes on Dmitry Bivol. First fight could have gone either way.
Both guys, they felt each other in the first fight, and both guys believe they can win.
From the body language that I've been seeing from Bivol, I think he's a little bit more determined on making sure that every round is perfect.
He said, I know what I needed to do. I got to throw more. I got to be a little bit more physical.
Every time we talked about Artur Beterbiev, the same question is asked, will Father Time get him this time? Welcome back to another episode of The Last Round Podcast, where we cover everything from traditional boxing to influencer boxing and everything in between. In today's episode, we'll be going over Keyshawn Davis's victory win over Denys Berinchyk, and as well as Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol's rematch featuring in Rihad Season's The Last CRESCENDO. But before we get into the episode, make sure to like and subscribe and follow us on all forms of social media. Lastly, we're trying to build up a community on Discord, and you guys joining would be greatly appreciated. Everything that I mentioned is in the link in the description below. But now diving into the episode. First off, let's kick things off with Valentine's Day special, headlined by Keyshawn Davis as he took on former WBO champion Denys Berinchyk for the 135 belt. And we predicted it last episode, and our prediction came true. Keyshawn Davis is now the official new champion at 135, dethroning Denys Berinchyk in grand fashion. Did it easily, hardly broke a sweat. And he dominated just like how I expected him to do. And I think this was a very good showcase for Keyshawn Davis.
Yeah, it was a great showcase. I mean, he put the other everybody at 135 and I think at 140 on notice that, 14 fights in and he's already at the elite level. I did expect, like you said, we predicted this last episode, but I was surprised it was that quick. Mm-hmm. 4 rounds. I was expecting maybe 8, maybe 9. Denys Berinchyk is a tough Ukrainian, but immediately, so quickly, you saw the skill difference. I mean, it looked like there was levels apart from each other. So that was what was really impressive for me. I think Keyshawn, all the other champions on notice, except I guess Shakur Stevenson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty surprised too. I mean, he turned up the gas right away, like within the first round or two, and then he got him out of there in the 4th round. Pretty easy night for Keyshawn Davis. I'm really interested to know where he kind of goes from here. I mean, if I'm going to be honest, I feel like this is a really good performance, and I think it's a standout performance. I think his next fight is going to be a big showcase, maybe possibly back in his hometown and whatnot. But I feel like this could be like a fight that's very, man, what's the word? Like sneaky-ish? No.
What do you mean? What's the context you're trying to say?
Yeah, I feel like, Denys Berinchyk was, he was basically one more fight from retiring. I feel like, this is an old fighter. I would be very curious to see how Keyshawn does against someone who is a little bit more younger. Just put it that way. Yeah,
that's one of the reasons why I was predicting Keyshawn to win by knockout, especially because you look at Denys Berinchyk, he's 36, 37 years old, doesn't really fight, he's not that active. And I think, the age did play a part, also just the activity, so hence why I was going in favor of Keyshawn to stop Denys Berinchyk. But that's a good point. And a lot of people, even after the fight on Friday, people were saying, oh, well, Denys Berinchyk, he's probably one of the worst champions in boxing. So they weren't impressed. A lot of the haters online were very, they're still trying to find negatives in Keyshawn's performance. And I think that's a little disingenuous to the performance that Keyshawn put. I think he did a fantastic job, and he showcased why he is one of the best fighters at 135. And I think having him as a champion at 135 really adds more, what's the word? More credibility to the 135, because then now if you're able to beat Keyshawn at 135, I mean, that's a big name in your resume, and for a top class fighter like Keyshawn to be beaten, I think it's going to be a very hard task to do.
Yeah, I mean, Keyshawn now 135. He only has 14 fights in as well, so it is kind of crazy to think. I don't know how much better he can honestly get. You know, he's already a fantastic fighter, already elite level. But what I found interesting as well is that like how big he was inside that ring. And I think a lot of people also, there was a couple, I feel like they're kind of excuses. Like, I don't know, I feel like whenever someone has such a great performance, immediately people are trying to like discredit him. Berinchyk old, he was small, Keyshawn was too big, this and that. I'm like, okay, I could get it, but I don't think you can discredit it that much. I think Keyshawn, he did look like a big guy in there though. I mean, 5'9", he looked heavy. It looked like different weight classes, honestly. So I'm interested to see how long he actually stays at 135. You know, I think there's great names there. Obviously, Tank Davis and Lomachenko. I don't know how long Loma's going to be there, but we already know that he will not fight Shakur. He made that painfully clear because they're buddies, I guess. So that kind of sucks. But I don't know. I mean, 135, great division. I think 140 also is a great division too, that he can go up and fight other great fighters.
That's true. And also, speaking about the 140, you know, we also had Oscar Duarte return against Madueño, and Madueño is a former opponent of Keyshawn. And people, you know, now, you know, if they were not bashing on Berinchyk being the opponent that got beaten by Keyshawn, they were bashing Keyshawn even more on Madueño, because they were saying, oh, Oscar Duarte stopped and whooped Madueño in like 6-7 rounds, while Keyshawn was never able to stop him. So Keyshawn's resume is trash.
Yeah, well, that's what Oscar De La Hoya was telling him after the fight to Duarte. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you can place that much merit into that. You know, Oscar Duarte is he hits fucking hard. Yeah. But I mean, Keyshawn. I mean, I've been like super impressed by his power, dude. Like, I did not think he was going to be that strong, that sharp. He's a power puncher boxer type of style. But he has been leaning more and more into his power, and it's been working out for him. So I'm interested. I want to know how good he can actually get.
I feel like it also stems from his punch selection, because you have to have a certain amount of IQ in order to perform the way that he's been performing. And I mean, look at Lemos, the way he was able to brutally dismantle him in 2 rounds. And yes, the power is evident. He's a very strong. Also, the weight may be playing a big part of that also. But I think that the reason why he's able to generate so much power is just the punch selection. I mean, he's able to find the perfect opportunity, the perfect timing. He's able to just capitalize on everything his opponent gives him, and he's able to just take full advantage of it. And he showcases that he's a very smart fighter in there. He's never been in any sort of trouble that I've seen so far, and it seems like he's gradually improving every single time he steps into the ring. So yeah, it's been a very impressive couple of fights for Keyshawn. I mean, now he's world champion 135, and now he's been calling. I mean, he wants Gervonta, he wants Loma, he wants these other big names at 135. Before the fight, I mean, Pitbull Cruz, he called him out too, which a lot of people, I mean, we put out a poll earlier in the week, and Keyshawn Davis seems to be the favorite leading in that poll right now that we have going on. So if Pitbull, you know, if him and his team see that performance and they believe that they can take Keyshawn's power and even beat him, that might be a big mega fight to make at 135. You know, Mexico versus the USA for the WBO champion. Keyshawn has, you know, a lot of people still think that Keyshawn still has to prove himself. So why not prove yourself against a former opponent in Tank's resume in Pitbull Cruz? I think it'd be a great matchup.
Yeah, I think so too, because I mean, at 135, there's 4 different world champions, and I feel like, props to Keyshawn, but I feel like within the 4 champions, he is bottom 2. I mean, I have Gervonta Davis as number 1, Shakur number 2, and then it's kind of like a toss-up between him and Loma, just because Loma hasn't fought in so long.
I think he beats Loma easy.
You think he stops him, just like Berinchyk?
I don't know about stops, but I definitely think he beats him.
Yeah. I agree. Well, it's because Loma he's not fighting anymore. You could clearly tell he's not really too devoted to boxing as much as he was back, younger. Of course, it's age, and also he's got other things going on too. So yeah, I would pin. I think Keyshawn and Loma would be a great fight. I don't know if Loma would take it though. It'd be a great unification too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Keyshawn's 5'9", bro. Like, he's a big guy. So Loma's also struggled a lot with big guys, and I think it's Keyshawn's time. So
Yeah, well, I mean, I think for Keyshawn, like, let's say he's not able to get Lomachenko or Tank for his next couple fights. Man, he better. I mean, the best scenario would be for Floyd Schofield to beat Shakur, and Floyd Schofield become new champion. And I mean, there you can get a fight, and there's gonna be some type of there's a storyline there, because, like you said, Keyshawn and Shakur are buddies. They Keyshawn, like you said, has mentioned he won't be fighting Shakur. But I mean, if Floyd Schofield pulls off the upset this coming week, that's a whole storyline. The whole I'll avenge you, Shakur type of mentality.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, but I think for Keyshawn, I think it's a good idea to go for Pitbull Cruz. Pitbull, he has a big name. A lot of people know him, and he's still somewhat respected, but then sometimes they trash on him too. So it's kind of hard to pin where the people are, how they feel about Pitbull. I think definitely, he's very one-dimensional, like we've said for a while now. But I think it's a good fight because, Pitbull he's going to go in there at least to win. He has a very close style, and I mean, for Keyshawn, I think it's good because, like you said, it's a past Tank opponent. So beat him in better fashion than Tank did, and then call out Tank, and then put more pressure on Tank, and maybe he'll get that fight later.
Well, it all depends on the route they take. Also depends on the landscape of 135. There's a lot of moving parts right now, especially this coming weekend with Shakur Stevenson defending his belt against Floyd Schofield. Should be a good one. So yeah, excuse me. Keyshawn Davis, officially the new WBO 135 champion, and he looks like he's going to keep on improving. So we still got a lot more years of Keyshawn Davis in the limelight. But now switching gears over to the big fight, the first mega fight of 2025. Just kidding. That's the second one, featuring Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. Last time they fought, Artur Beterbiev was able to get the split decision over Dmitry Bivol, and what a lot of people were considering, a robbery, or it's a very close fight. But now we get to see, let's see if Dmitry Bivol is able to make the adjustments, or is Artur Beterbiev just way too strong for Dmitry Bivol. But going down this card, a lot of people were dubbing it the best card of all time. And, I mean, if you look at it, it's completely stacked with big-name fighters. I think a big one I want to talk about first is the 135. Shakur Stevenson returns on rehab season as he looks to defend his WBC belt against Floyd Schofield. Now, Floyd Schofield, 18-0, has shown some potential. Hasn't had the big names in his resume to prove it, but he finally gets a shot at Shakur, who Shakur is mentioned as one of the best fighters in the planet, pound for pound, maybe not the top 10, but definitely in the top 20. But what are you guys' thoughts about that matchup?
I think it's a good matchup. I mean, well, I don't know if it's I don't think it's that good, close levels, honestly. I don't think it's going to be super competitive. I think Shakur Stevenson is levels above Floyd Schofield. I haven't been mega impressed by Floyd. He definitely has potential. He has talent. But, I mean, his last fight, he did not look good at all. It was a very, very tough fight. And you can say, it was a tough opponent. But I don't know. I don't see, he has to have some crazy power if you're going to scare Shakur, because you're not going to be able to outbox him. No. So you have to out-physical him, out-strike him. You have to punch him real hard. Like, you have to do something. And I don't think Floyd Schofield really has that power. And if he was going to get into a boxing fight, it's not going to go well. I also believe Shakur is really, really in form right now. I mean, they've been talking shit a lot about him. So I think he has something to prove, and he's going to prove it this Saturday.
Yeah, also, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, Floyd Schofield, he does have respectable punching power, and I think he has the power to drop or maybe even stop Stevenson. But I feel like, just like what you said, Stevenson is just on a higher level than him. I think that's what it is. And I'm not really too focused on this fight. I'm really just more focused on just Shakur getting the win and then seeing, where Shakur goes from there. I know Cepeda is the number one contender for the WBC, so I mean, maybe we could see that fight next, and then maybe William Cepeda becomes a world champion. But at this moment in time, I don't really give too much credit to Schofield.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but speaking about Cepeda, that boy's not becoming a world champion anytime soon. I mean, he's gotta get past Tevin Farmer in the rematch, and shit, I don't even know if he can.
Yeah, should be good. Well, I mean, he's not number one. He's the interim champion.
Oh, he's interim.
Yeah, he's interim, so he is next in line for the belt. But yeah, first he's got to get past Tevin Farmer after that close fight they had the first time out. Man, I mean, he got dropped and he almost lost that fight. So yeah, Cepeda's got other things on his plate right now. But yeah, I agree. I think Shakur Stevenson is a different level than Floyd Schofield. I don't think Schofield realizes what he's getting into. We're talking about Shakur, man, master boxer. Yeah, everyone shits on him. They say they call him boring. They call him yada yada. No power, pillow hands. It might be true, but you can't deny that you can't box him. If you box him, you're gonna die, man. You won't beat him.
You think Shakur's gonna go forward in this fight?
No.
Nah, I don't think so, man.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Nah, I mean, every time Shakur says that he's gonna, prove something, he's gonna go for the knockout. He's there to bring excitement. It never pans out that way because maybe he try to get a good read on his opponent, but then after like a couple rounds, he's all like he resorts back to his original game plan of how he always fights and just outboxing you, making it boring.
Yeah, and that's what the boxing fans were saying, because Shakur Stevenson and Schofield is the co-main event. They were saying, oh, how nice for Turkey to give us a little nap time before the actual main event between Bivol and
It's actually the co?
Yeah, it's the co.
Wow, that's crazy.
Surprisingly, I feel like personally I would have put Dubois and Parker there. That's just me though. But
that's interesting. But yeah, so predictions for this fight.
Shakur by UD victory. Very easy.
Yeah, I have the exact same thing. I also want to bring into light was the fact that Schofield's last performance, he looked good, but I feel like there were some moments in time where he lost control. He got really emotional, just fighting based off of emotions, and he made some mistakes. And I feel like that's kind of the reason why he got hurt a couple times, and then he got dropped as well. And I feel like when you go up against a guy like a master boxer like Shakur, you gotta have your emotions controlled. And I don't know, I feel like halfway through the fight, he's just gonna like go for it and just make stupid mistakes.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see how Floyd starts the fight. Is he gonna try to feel out Shakur, or is he just gonna apply the pressure instantly, which I do believe he's gonna try to go in hard in the first opening rounds to kind of get Shakur out of his rhythm and out of his element in order to have more success, because he knows he can't go 12 rounds with Shakur. He can't, because Shakur then is gonna download the data and then he's just gonna outbox you and just keep you at range, frustrate you all night, and then he's going to come out on top with the victory. So I believe Floyd is going to come out very strong in the opening round, try to apply pressure and try to land clean shots to hurt Shakur and make him hesitant. But I don't think he has the skills in his arsenal to really give Shakur a big run for his money. Maybe the early rounds, might be a little bit more competitive, but I think Shakur is way too skilled for Floyd at this point in time, and I see Shakur winning by clear UD, and he's gonna look to defend his championship and then go on in his day and maybe call out Tank or someone like that. But yeah, so that was our official prediction for Floyd Schofield and Shakur Stevenson as they look to fight for the WBC World Championship. Moving down the list, I have personally for me, my favorite night or my favorite fight of the night, which will be Virgil Ortiz Jr. as he looks to defeat Israel Madrimov for the WBC interim 154 belt. Now, a lot of people have been talking mad smack about Virgil Ortiz recently, after his fight against Bohachuk. I was gonna call him Berinchyk. Yeah, after his fight against Bohachuk, a lot of people have been disregarding Virgil, saying he's garbage. He got dropped twice. He didn't even win that fight against Bohachuk. Yada 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 yada. Like, where's that power? The so-called power that he would always bring to his fights. And I think people are disrespecting Virgil Ortiz a bit too much. And a lot of people are giving Madrimov a lot of props for giving Crawford a tough time, even though he did lose that fight. people are giving him a lot of props, saying, okay, this Madrimov, he's no joke. He's a legitimate top 5, top 3, 154 pounder. He's gonna beat the brakes out of Vergil Ortiz, and I don't think it's gonna be that easy.
No, it's definitely not going to be that easy. I mean, both of these guys have their own, stuff. I mean, with Vergil Ortiz, that's just what happens when you increase your level. When you begin to fight elite fighters like Berinchyk, you're not going to knock them out in 4 or 5 rounds. That's just what happens. So I think it was a tough showing, obviously, but against a very strong ex-champion. Was Berinchyk an ex-champion?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, I believe he was an ex-champion or something like that. So I thought it was a good performance. Madrimov, of course, also overperformed against Terence Crawford as well. So people are really riding high on Madrimov's name. And with him also, he only has like 16 fights, I believe. He barely has like 10 fights. So interesting to see these guys, these Eastern Europeans with such little fights already fighting at the elite level. But I think it's going to be a close fight, man. I think it's going to be really, really hard. It's a 50-50, honestly.
Yeah, my mindset going into this fight is that I have something similar. Like, it's really hard. I mean, every time you go up against a guy who's from Eastern Europe, I mean, he's just going to be a tough fight. I mean, Madrimov is able to fight kind of like in both stands, but he mostly fights out of the southpaw stance, if I'm not mistaken. And he's just so good. Like, they're so hard for any boxer to cut off the ring. He's so good with his foot movement. All the power comes from there, the speed, the timing. And for Vergil, you just know he has like one style, and that's just to go forward. And he did run into some problems against Berinchyk. Berinchyk is just the guy who is just made out of rock, just does not move. And Madrimov, he fights completely different. He's more boxing. He's more kind of making points. He does have power, but he doesn't really focus too much on that. That's his style, isn't really catered to that. So it's going to be very hard. I can't really, my needle isn't swaying towards one or the other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this fight is a bit harder to call, mostly because they're both stylistically different. I mean, for example, Madrimov was very hesitant, in my opinion, against Crawford. He made it awkward, just the jump in motion, kind of feinting, but I felt like he lacked volume and output at many points, which I believe was the reason why he lost that fight. Whereas Vergil Ortiz, I mean, he's going to be able to let his hands go more because let's face it, Crawford is a more skillful fighter than Vergil. Maybe not in terms of power, but in terms of IQ, I'd give it towards Terence Crawford easily. So Madrimov might I feel like Madrimov's going to be a lot more comfortable in this fight to let his hands go. And I mean, Vergil Ortiz has got to watch out for the awkward movement or the awkward fighter that Madrimov is. I mean, he was able to get good shots on Crawford. He was able to make it tough on Crawford. And it takes a special kind of fighter to do so. Then again, Crawford is a smaller fighter. We're talking about a man who debuted at 135. Whereas Vergil Ortiz, I mean, he's a legitimate 154 pounder. He's a big, heavy guy. Hits hella hard too. I mean, you can't lie. He had Berinchyk hurt, and Berinchyk, he's got knocked out once in his only other defeat. But that man takes some blows, man. He's got a granite chin, and Vergil Ortiz has shown that he has power. He has dynamite in those hands. And if I'm Madrimov, I mean, I should be well aware that Vergil Ortiz is going to have more pop in his punches than Terence Crawford, just because of the weight. And I think that's something that both camps are looking at, saying, okay, what can we do to adjust? It's not going to be the same as our last fight. Completely different styles of fighters, and I think it's going to make for a very good showing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think stylistically it's going to be a very good fight because, I mean, Vergil is going to go forward, but I don't know if Madrimov is what he's going to do. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's going to go forward and meet him there 2 for 2. So, but I don't think he really moves like crazy. So he's going to try to play I think he's going to try to play a boxer puncher, try to counter Vergil when he gets over anxious, because Vergil does sometimes get over anxious and overextends and is susceptible to being countered. But I don't know. It's interesting stylistic matchup. If I were to lean a direction, I'm leaning a little bit towards Vergil Ortiz because of his aggressive style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to go to the punching power of Vergil at 140 and then at 147. He seemed to have that devastating KO power. Do you think at 154 he's he still has respectable power, but it's a little bit less scary. You think the opponents at 154 are able to take it a little bit more?
Well, I mean, he's finally fighting guys that are his size. I mean, at 147, he was killing himself.
Yeah.
The reason why he went up to 154 is because he passed out from dehydration trying to make 147. So, I mean, of course, when he was at that weight class, I mean, he was destroying these guys, knocking these guys' head off their shoulders because he was a big guy. And at 154, I mean, he's only had one fight with Bohachuk, right? Yeah.
No, he's had three.
Three
Three of them.
fights?
Yeah, there were like 2 first-round knockouts, and then he fought Bohachuk.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't. Oh, it was in the. I remember.
In the Barroso.
In the Barroso, okay, that's what it was.
That one, yeah.
I think at 154, he definitely has respectable power. I mean, he's a guy that puts his whole weight behind his shots. But, I mean, if to say he has one punch, I think we have to wait and see. I think the verdict is still out on that one.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see this type of matchup. Like I said, I'm not betting on anything, but I'm just saying I think it might be a fight of the night just because of the style clash, and I think it should be a very good one. Official predictions for Virgil Ortiz and Madrimov.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna go with Ortiz. You know, he's another Texas boy, so I gotta represent. I gotta help out, support in every way that I can. But it's gonna be a tough fight for him. So hopefully everything goes well, and I'm thinking he's gonna get a decision. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I already said it. I think I'm leaning a little bit towards Virgil Ortiz. I think a decision victory will be the most likely outcome.
I'm choosing Virgil too. Maybe I'm a little bit biased. I like Virgil's style. That's why I'm actually a big fan of him and the way he fights. And I like Madrimov too. Don't get it wrong, but I just gotta go for Virgil. I'm a supporter of Virgil. But I mean, I won't lie. I won't be surprised if Madrimov comes out on top. I'm gonna be a little sad, of course. But if Madrimov comes up on top, which he has the skills and the arsenal to do so, I'll be happy for him too. But I'm favoring it for Virgil Ortiz. So that was our official prediction for the 154 interim belt between Virgil Ortiz as he looks to take on Israel Madrimov. Now going down the list once again, we got the big boys, the heavyweights. We got the IBF world champion Daniel Dubois taking on Joseph Parker. Daniel Dubois is coming off his historic KO win over Anthony Joshua at Wembley, while Joseph Parker, who hasn't fought in 11 months actually, he hasn't fought in a while, coming off his win against Big Bang Zhilei Zhang. It was a big fight. And it's a big fight because Daniel Dubois is a man on a mission, man in form. He's coming off really impressive performances and wins. Joseph Parker, back in 2023, was coming off impressive wins too. He was the man in form. He seemed like his career resuscitated, and he took out Deontay Wilder. He took out Zhilei Zhang. I mean, this man was on a mission to prove something. And then for some reason, I don't know why, 2024, after the first half of 2024, he kind of mellowed out and has decided to finally return back to the ring in 2025. So it should be a good matchup. What are you guys' thoughts about it?
I mean, yeah, like you said, big fight, and it's also a big fight because the winner gets to challenge the king, Alexander Usyk. So, and that's already been confirmed by Usyk himself and also Turkey. So, winner gets to a shot at undisputed, which is massive. Historic for both of them. Daniel Dubois is super young. And Joseph Parker, a resurgence in his career. Everyone was kind of, after he lost to the juggernaut Joe Joyce, people were like, oh, he's finished now. But he's came back. Like you said, he's came back. He's in great form. Both of these guys are in great form. So they're going to show their best, and I'm really excited because I feel like this one's also going to be fireworks.
Yeah, every time two big boys get into the ring, it's always exciting. For me, I'm very excited for Daniel. I think this move and his team getting a fight with Parker was a tactical move. I feel like Parker brings something interesting. I think what he really brings is the experience. And that's what it is, just the experience. He's an older guy. He's been a world champion He was a world champion a long time ago. And I think that's what he has. It's just the experience. I think this fight should be a really good fight for Daniel, just to show that everything is still there, those skills, just refine them, and then just look for bigger things and get that rematch with Usyk.
Yeah, Daniel Dubois, I think he's the man who's kind of obligated to win. His last loss was against Alexander Usyk, and that fight, a lot of people, it was very controversial because of the low blow drama, which people were saying, was it even low? Was it not? And some people still believe to this day that Daniel Dubois was robbed off of becoming, unified champion during that time. So Daniel Dubois, like I said, is a man in form. Coming, he's a man on a mission, trying to get that rematch against Usyk. I mean, he did it after his post-fight call out against for Usyk after the Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk 2 rematch was probably the funniest thing ever. But if he's calling for it, he wants that rematch with Usyk. But first, he's got to get past Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker, yes, he's got the experience, but I was very surprised that he hadn't, he didn't really have any other fight after the Zhilei Zhang fight early in 2024, and has decided to return back like nearly a year later. So I'm wondering if the months of inactivity is going to play dividends, or is going to play a big factor in Joseph Parker's performance, because let's not forget that he was also a man in form before he took a hiatus last year. So this is a very interesting matchup to see if either the Joseph Parker is going to come in refined, still sharp as he was earlier, a year ago, like in 2023, or if Daniel Dubois is going to come out on top and keep showing that he is a man who's in form and very consistent with his performances. Your official predictions for this fight?
Yeah, I'm thinking Daniel's going to pull it off. I rewatched the Big Bang Zhang versus Parker fight. It was very interesting, man. I mean, Parker, his last 2 victories, they've put him back on the scene, right? Deontay Wilder and Zhilei Zhang. And in both fights, they weren't like action-packed. They were very low pace, and Parker was like on the outside boxing, made it. But he also did something where he brought the activity down from both Deontay Wilder and Zhilei Zhang. But what I found interesting in that Zhilei Zhang fight was Zhang put him down twice. Mm-hmm. And Zhang, obviously big guy, big puncher. Daniel Dubois is also a very big puncher, but he's a different type of puncher. Zhilei Zhang is more of a natural, heavy puncher, whereas Daniel Dubois is explosive. He throws quick. He has a killer instinct. He goes right at you with like full speed, full force. So I'm thinking Daniel Dubois is going to connect. I mean, he has to connect. He's going to connect once, and when he connects, I think Parker's going down, and then Dubois is just going to swarm him and stop him. So I'm expecting a KO for Daniel Dubois.
Yeah, same. I mean, Daniel has the speed, the explosiveness, the dynamite to stop Parker. But I just feel like he has to be a little bit more smart about it. Like, he can't get too out of control, because I feel like sometimes he's able to hurt his opponent, and then he just kind of gets out of control. He just starts throwing and sometimes becomes ineffective, and he's also a lot pretty prone to getting punched back. Mm-hmm. So I feel like Parker, he does a pretty good job of regulating the rhythm of the fight, dictating to a pace where it's more suitable for him, which is a slower rhythm of fighting, slower pace. And so Daniel just has to be a little bit smart about that. But I'm expecting Daniel to stop him. Yeah, I'm talking about in the later rounds, like 7, 8, 9.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think Daniel Dubois will be the man on top. And it really just stems from the activity that Daniel Dubois, he's coming off the best win of his career against Anthony Joshua, and he performed beautifully. A very dominant performance. Never lost even like a second of that fight. And he's looking to continue proving that he is the guy to perhaps beat Alexander Usyk. And if he's able to do so, I mean, he's got to first showcase it against Joseph Parker. And let me tell you, if he's able to knock out Joseph Parker in grand fashion, I mean, of course, we already have it confirmed about the Usyk taking on the winner of Parker and Dubois. But if Dubois is able to knock out Parker in devastating fashion, I think a lot of the narrative is going to switch over to, oh my, Daniel Dubois. This is not the mentally fragile Daniel Dubois that fought Alexander Usyk the first time. No, this is a rejuvenated Daniel Dubois that is going in there to make a point, and he might have a shot at dethroning the heavyweight king and Alexander Usyk. But for right now, my official prediction, I think Daniel Dubois will be stopping Joseph Parker. And I think he's going to make a point, and he's going to be the next guy in line to take on Alexander Usyk. So that was our official predictions for the IBF World Heavyweight Champion as they look to decide who will be the one facing Alexander Usyk next for Undisputed. Now lastly, the main event, the big rematch at 175 for Undisputed. The Undisputed Champion as of right now, Artur Beterbiev, looks to remain undisputed as he takes on Dmitry Bivol for the second time. Like I mentioned earlier in the episode, first fight was a bit controversial amongst the fans. A very close and competitive fight. Could have gone either way, but the judges picked Artur Beterbiev to become the undisputed champion, and he remained undefeated. And now he looks to keep being undefeated as he looks to maintain his status as undisputed champion. Your thoughts about this upcoming revenge tour for Dmitry Bivol?
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, it's only been a couple of months since we got the first fight. Both of these guys wanted to get their hands on each other as quickly as possible, and we're getting it right now. You know, I'm so excited, man. It's going to be such a good fight. Both guys know they felt each other in the first fight, and both guys believe they can win. You know, Dmitry Bivol said, I wasn't perfect. He said, I know what I needed to do. I got to throw more. I got to be a little bit more physical. And Beterbiev said, yeah, I know. I also know what to do. I think I could stop him this time. So both these guys are mega confident in their skills. So it's going to be interesting to see if this fight's going to play out the exact same way as the first one did, or if someone's going to come in with a different game plan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for this next rematch, it's pretty hard. I still want to say it's like a 50-50 fight. I mean, the first fight was super close. Now the second one, I mean, Beterbiev is a little bit older now. Bivol is a little bit more older as well. But, I mean, I feel like age is not on Beterbiev's side at the moment. And, yeah, I'm not sure. I feel like, just for me, just from the body language that I've been seeing from Bivol, I feel like he's taking this one a little bit more serious. I think he's a little bit more determined on making sure that every round is perfect, that he implements his style. He's able to make the least amount of errors every round. And I don't know, man. I just feel like it's possible that it might be Bivol's time. I think this time he could win the fight.
Yeah, there was a clip of Dmitry Bivol in training camp for this fight, and it was him and his trainer, one of his trainers, and they're kind of like wrestling with each other, right? Being a bit more physical with one another. And a lot of people are kind of making the prediction that, you know, Dmitry Bivol might be coming in to be a lot more, to show more physicality in the rematch, because in the first fight, I mean, Dmitry Bivol was on the back foot a lot of the time, and in the moments where Artur Beterbiev was letting his hands go, showcasing his output, Dmitry Bivol kind of allowed it to happen. And people believe that, you know, maybe if Dmitry Bivol was a bit more physical, you know, showed a bit more of his strength, he kind of got bullied around a bit too much, maybe the outcome would have been a bit different. And Dmitry Bivol seems to maybe be implementing a more physical side to his camp, and one that he might showcase on fight night. Then again, Artur Beterbiev, before the first match, you know, it got postponed because he was suffering from an injury from his leg, you know, his knee. He had surgery, and he didn't have that much time to recover from it before the first fight. So, I mean, Artur Beterbiev, he's now a couple months fresh from that surgery. He's had time to recover, rehabilitate. We might see a better version of Artur Beterbiev, and one that perhaps was more power, more aggression, and more physicality in there too, which might give him the edge over Dmitry Bivol. So it's a very hard fight to call right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what a lot of people have been saying for Bivol. They're saying, you know, he's going to be more physical. A lot of training clips have him showing up where he's like, yeah, pushing his coach. There might be some truth into that. I don't know. I think he's also said in interviews that he believes his output was too low at points in the fight, especially critical points like the 10th through the 12th. I think that's absolutely true. I think also hopefully he gets his gas tank better as well. I mean, he's gone 12 rounds before, and Beterbiev never went 12 rounds, but somehow it was Bivol that was gassed, not Beterbiev. So that was interesting as well. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what Bivol's thinking. He might try to be more physical, but I don't know if that's going to be a good idea when you're dealing with like a mass monster strength like Artur Beterbiev. So, but I think it was interesting for Beterbiev as well because he was coming off of surgery from the knee. Maybe he's going to be moving better. Maybe he's going to look faster. He's going to be able to step in quicker. I think that's definitely possible, but I don't know. For me personally, I think Beterbiev has a number on Bivol. I think his style. I think the first fight it showed his style is just it's the right style to be a guy like Bivol.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. You mentioned about the. You think because every time we talked about Artur Beterbiev, the same question is asked. Will Father Time get him this time? And we're looking at he's coming off 2 hard training camps for undisputed against the other best fighter at 175. Could this potentially be the fight that Father Time gets him? Do you guys believe that? Is there a possibility? I mean, he's 40, 41.
I think 40.
40. Yeah. He's 40 years old. Everyone always asks that question, but I mean, you're coming off 2 hard training camps for against an opponent who's regarded as the other best fighter in that weight division. Will we maybe see a dip in performance from Artur Beterbiev this Saturday?
Honestly, I don't think so. I think it is. We always say this, but I don't know. He takes care of his body. He takes care of his body. He's shown it, and I don't think he's got that secret juice. He's doing something right. I don't think the age is gonna play a factor in this fight.
Yeah, I feel like if anything comes into fruition, it would be maybe that leg injury. Like I don't really see Father Time catching up with Beterbiev. I think he's in the best shape of his life. At 40, just an elite fighter overall. So no, I don't believe that's gonna come to a play. Yeah, no.
Well, official predictions for the main event. What do you guys got?
I'm gonna go for Bivol.
Bivol?
Yeah.
And by what? Knockout? First round?
No, I'm gonna go with a decision. I feel like the first fight. I think I think a lot was shown. I feel like maybe just him not agreeing with the scorecards and whatnot. Maybe he didn't like that. But I feel like also another thing is that his wife was actively seeing wanting to see him his downfall.
Oh, his ex-wife.
His ex-wife. Yeah, doing the live stream and everything. Maybe he also has that in the back of his head because if my ex-wife is divorcing me and then now praising my opponents, I think that would make me feel some type of way.
Yeah, that was a big narrative after because I mean she had a live stream watching the fight.
She had a setup.
Yeah, and then she was like all celebrating. So I mean that could have definitely played a very big impact on the mentality of Bivol. It's going into like the biggest fight of his career. And your ex-wife is doing that. That's possible. I haven't seen her say anything recently, so thankfully she went back to irrelevancy. And Bivol can actually focus on what's important. But no, I believe Beterbiev. I think Beterbiev is going to win. Honestly, I think he's going to win more clear this time. His pressure. I think his pressure is too much for Bivol. Even if Bivol tries to stand with him a little bit more, tries to stand his ground and try to push him off. It might work for like maybe the first half of the fight, but Beterbiev is not going to stop. That's the thing. It's 12 rounds of constant action. He's never gone 12 rounds, and he could still go 12 rounds at a super high pace. It doesn't make any sense. So I think Beterbiev is going to win this fight.
Yeah, I'm favoring Beterbiev to win also. I think the margins are still very close, especially now that they've gotten adjusted to each other and kind of know what to implement for their game plan strategy. Also, I do believe Beterbiev has the upper edge on Bivol just because of the injury. I do believe the knee played a big role in Beterbiev's performance in the first fight, and now that he's had time to recover from it, I think we're going to see a lot better version of him. Also, I think in the grand scheme of things, I think it's a lot better for the 175 if Beterbiev wins. Like I said, like last episode or 2 episodes ago, Turkey himself already said that if Bivol wins, there's a trilogy on the way. So we might have to wait for Benavidez to get into the scene or get a shot at the champion. And I think it's better for the 175 if Beterbiev wins. So then Benavidez can actually have a shot maybe sometime later in the year to face Beterbiev, and I think that will keep the 175 moving. You know, there's a lot of moving parts, or not a lot of moving parts, but there should be a lot of moving parts, and I think Beterbiev coming out on top against Bivol this Saturday will get those plans in motion, and I think we might see, you know, a change of guard, you know, a lot of a new champion maybe emerging in Benavidez, stuff like that. So I think it's a lot better for the 175 if Beterbiev wins, and I'm still favoring Beterbiev to beat Bivol by knockout. Probably not. I don't think he's gonna knock him out. You know, I'm gonna make a crazy prediction. I think there will be a knockdown, more so for Beterbiev than Bivol, but there's not going to be a knockout. But yeah, it's gonna be another somewhat close card. I think it's gonna be like a majority. But I think Beterbiev will be coming out on top this Saturday.
Inshallah.
Inshallah, yes sir. So that was our official predictions for Riyadh season, the last crescendo, featuring Artur Beterbiev as he looks to remain undisputed at 175 against Dmitry Bivol. Let us know down below. Do you guys believe that Dmitry Bivol knows and is going to be able to make the adjustments to take out Beterbiev? Or do you think Beterbiev will be too much for Dmitry Bivol in the rematch? Also, let us know your opinion about the entire last crescendo card. Do you think it is, quote, the best card of all time, or is there a fight in there or two that you're more excited for to be watching this upcoming Saturday? Also, let us know down below about Keyshawn Davis. Do you think he is the future at 135, and how do you guys see him pairing up against the other champions at that weight division? Also, don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on all forms of social media. We are on X, TikTok, and Instagram. Lastly, we're trying to build up a community on Discord, and so you guys joining the server would be greatly appreciated. Everything that I mentioned is in the link in the description below. But this was Pablo, and I was Rudo and Asa, and this was the Last Round Podcast. Thank you for watching.